Hey, this is Jessica, and I am making a goldfish video. Don't mind the background. What happened was, we just tape our backgrounds on, and then I think water from the air bubbler comes up, and then splashes right there, and I think it's gotten the back wet, so when it's wet, it looks good actually. That's for the blue part, and the dark spots are the parts that aren't wet, that are not clinging. So the thing of buying the sea view stuff that you're supposed to buy to put backgrounds on, to get it to look right. What's new? I added 2 Anubias. That one there, right there, and then that little guy. And those are 2 new rocks. There's the fish. So basically today I wanted to, it's gonna be kind of like a rant, because it's been pissing me off lately, and also it's good information. I've been seeing a lot of people keeping goldfish in tropical tanks, or asking in comments, like they'll comment on, like, not my video, but other people that I watch who have goldfish, and they'll be like, oh, I want to get a goldfish, can I add it to my tropical tank? And it's just like, no, you can't, don't do that. Like, obviously you can, if you want to, go ahead, like, you can do whatever you want. I can put a cat in my tank if I want to. Doesn't mean it's gonna live. But it's really not a good idea to mix goldfish with tropicals. They're not tropical, they're cold water fish. And tropicals are tropical. So, I have a whole bunch of reasons. I wrote some down so I know, because some of them I didn't even know. I researched this, actually. First of all is the temperature difference, obviously. Most tropicals need, the minimum is 75. But what's comfortable for them, a lot of them, is like 78, depending. Some of them are different though, like tetras are tropical, but they're like a 75. They don't really like it too warm. Well, goldfish are like a 68 to 75. 75 is the highest you want to put a goldfish. I have mine at, I'm probably going to put mine down. Mine's at like 72. I'm probably going to put it down. Usually 70 is good. It does lower, like, you know how tropicals, if they're in cold water, it lowers their lifespan? Same thing with goldfish. It actually lowers their lifespan if they're in too warm water. It makes their metabolism way crazy, which they're already little hungry food monsters to begin with. And, the thing with goldfish is they grow really big. Like, yeah, these fish are, oh look, I can mix tropicals with them, they're about the same size. Not for long. These goldfish will get to 6 inches in body length, not including fins. The body itself will be 6 inches. And look how big, I don't know if you saw him kind of opening his mouth there. Whatever fits in a goldfish's mouth is food. They'll eat snails. Like, I wasn't too worried about these 2 plants. They had, like, snail eggs. Whatever snails hatch or whatever, they're gonna eat. A lot of people can't keep any snails in their goldfish tanks because they eat them. Any little fish, they'll eat. They won't. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, they'll eat, yes, they eat algae, and they eat, you know, lettuce, and they eat peas, but they'll also eat meat. They like bloodworms, so they'll eat other fish that are really small. And a lot of tropical fish are small. Tetras. You put a whole bunch of tetras in with like a 6-inch goldfish, I don't know if those tetras are going to last. pH is a really good one that I didn't think of at first. Most tropicals like really soft water. Even bats prefer soft water, but since they've been bred so much for, you know, Western society and, you know, our harder water, they're used to it now. But they prefer like 6 in the 6s, and because they're used to having driftwood, leaves that are decaying in the water that fall off trees, soft water. Goldfish, on the other hand, like hard water. You want like a 7.5 for a goldfish. There's people out there who have like 8.3s for goldfish. They're fine as long as your KH and GH don't fluctuate. They're fine. As long as it's a steady hardness, it's good. I want to get a GH and KH pH test for my tap and tank, because I do have a pH test. I know what my pH is, but I don't know the GH and the KH, which is really important, especially if your fishes get sick. That could be a reason, just because of the pH. Filtration is also a good one. Most tropical fish don't like a lot of filtration, or they don't need a lot of filtration. They don't poop, and, you know, they don't produce as much waste. While my goldfish is, there's the filter going. It's an AquaClear 70, which does 300 gallons an hour. This is a 20-gallon tank. Why would you wouldn't have that on a tropical fish tank. You'd have one of those probably dinky Tetra filters, And if you at least have an AquaClear filter, you could probably get away with like an AquaClear 20 or 30 on this tank with, you know, tropicals. Goldfish, you can't do that. You have to filter 10 times the amount of water of the tank per hour. So technically all I need is 200 gallons per hour going, because it's a 20-gallon tank, but the more the merrier with goldfish. Especially since they're in kind of a too small of a tank. You know, that's another thing. Tetras, you can stick, I don't even know how many you can stick in a 20-gallon tank, a lot. Well, goldfish, the rule is like 20 gallons per fish, because of how big they get. I can get away with 20 gallons for two small ones right now, because they're so small. Like, they're like an inch in body length. And even then, I think Callie's already grown. Not Callie. Callie's my old calico. This is Goldbuscus. I think Goldbuscus, the Callie, because he is a calico fantail, has already grown a bit. I think he was smaller. I don't know. I can't wait for the pearl scale to get really big, pearl buscus, because he's gonna be, should be really cute. But yeah, so size, you know, just the size of tank you need would be an issue, or like just a waste, I guess, because you don't need to put tropicals in such a big tank. Most tropicals you want in like a planted tank, right? Most people have beautiful planted tanks. They got the tropical fish. Everything's beautiful. You put a goldfish in a planted tank, they're gonna eat all those plants. There's only a few plants you can get away with. Anubias is one. They pick at the plant, but they don't actually eat the plant. They're just like, they'll take algae off. They pick at these marrow balls, as you can see. But regular plants, hair grass, gone. That's just food to them. Jabber fern's one of the ones that are safe. I want to get some just for something else to have in the tank, but I can't really find true jabber fern. I had a jabber fern back in the day, and it melted right away. And it didn't seem to have a rhizome. I want to look up on the internet what a jabber fern rhizome looks like. Because it's supposed to, if it's anything like an Anubia, it wasn't, what I had was not a jabber fern. I had roots. It didn't have a rhizome. And it melted so quickly. I'm thinking it was a type of crypt, because crypts are known to melt. I think they're showing off. So yeah, you don't want to put goldfish in a nice, beautiful planted tank. They're going to rip it all up. A lot of people have Plecos in their, you know, planted tropical tank. You can't put Plecos with goldfish at all. I think there's one kind you can, and I don't know that kind, so I can't tell you. But I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't bother at all. Why have a Pleco? I don't even find them that good looking. You have a beautiful goldfish tank with ornamental fish. That's what they are. They're ornamental fish. They're meant to be looked at. You don't need a Pleco in the tank. Plus, Plecos make a lot of waste, too. They're not really a cleanup crew like people think. But what Plecos do is they can get a taste for the goldfish's slime coat. Goldfish have, I think, a thicker slime coat than most other fish. And there's been cases where people, you know, in the morning been like, oh, my goldfish has like, it almost looks like a hickey, like a red mark that's round, that's the shape of the Pleco's mouth, and he's been sucking on the goldfish, and that will kill the goldfish. So you're going to lose your pretty goldfish because you have a Pleco. It probably wouldn't happen as likely if you're feeding the Pleco appropriately. But that's another reason why not to mix the two together. Goldfish, if you ever watched anyone feed a goldfish, they eat all the food. They're crazy. That's when you see them swimming fast, is they go and get the food. They'll probably eat all the food in the tank and not let other species of fish eat. So they'll be eating food that they're not even supposed to be having. They'll be eating, you know, whatever you feed your tropicals. They'll be feeding whatever you feed your Pleco, because they do like algae wafers. I had many algae wafers before, and I used to feed my goldfish them occasionally. They loved them. It's algae. So they're going to be eating all the food, and your other fish are going to be starving because of these goldfish. And going back to the Pleco, yeah, it's not because what happens is goldfish are slow swimming. They're not fast swimming like tropicals. You know, like when they're resting, that's when the Pleco will not really attack the fish, but he's likes the slime coat. And aesthetically, it doesn't look good to have tropicals mixed in with goldfish. It really doesn't. You may think it does. You're like, oh, look at my awesome tank that has everything in it. And trust me, I've seen it. There was this one friggin' kid on YouTube. He had a 20-gallon tank, exact same tank I have. He had goldfish, 2 goldfish, and they were like comet goldfish, not little fancy goldfish. He had a betta. He had a whole bunch of tropicals. I think he had a couple angelfish, and it was like just a disaster waiting to happen. It was awful. And anytime anybody wrote him any negative comments or tried to like even nicely been like, oh, you know, this is what you should do to like make your situation better, he would just delete, not even pay attention to it. He's an idiot. It's just, quite frankly, because blame somebody for being defensive when you're attacking them, but I think even I private messaged him so nobody else would see it, about, you know, this is what you're doing is wrong, like in a nicer way. But no, that kid was just useless. I don't even know how it's like. I also blame the parents. Like when you have somebody who's like 15 in your house, who's in charge really? The parents. They can say, hey, what you're doing is wrong, I don't want this in my house. You know, if I had kids, my kid was like, I want to put tropicals in with my goldfish, I'd be like, no, you can have a tropical tank, or whatever. So, also there's cases where tropicals will nip at the goldfish's flowy fins. Like if you have the nice fantails, veil tails, butterflies, if you have, depending on, I don't know what species of tropicals will do this, but there's obviously a few, because that's another argument with bettas. You don't keep bettas with certain tropicals because they'll nip at the betta's fins. But I guess there's certain kinds where there's been cases where they'll just eat at the poor goldfish's fins. So you just shouldn't do that. The last one, really, I just went through all my reasons here, is diseases. You know, treating for diseases for goldfish and other fish is different. Goldfish don't mind salt treatments as much as other fish. Like, I can't treat my betta with salt the same way I can treat my goldfish with salt. Goldfish you can do salt dips with goldfish, and they're fine, and it, you know, will cure a lot of ailments. But with tropicals, you have to do a different regimen of salt. Some bettas can only take like the 0.01% of salt. Well, goldfish, you can bring it right up to the 0.3. And other things. And water, you know, the water temperature being different will affect different treatments for, like, ick. Supposed to raise the temperature up to, like, what, 85 with ick? I don't think I'd do that if I had ick with goldfish. I'd probably raise it, but not that high. He's showing off. So yeah, so there's really good reasons why not to make a disaster of your tank and completely overpopulate it, because that's what's going to happen. Most people who do mix their tropicals with their goldfish, they don't have 55-gallon tanks. They don't have these, you know, big tanks. They have a 20-gallon tank, and they're mixing. They're like, oh, I got a tropical tank and I want to put a goldfish in it. Why? Like, you're really, these people are just being selfish. They're not thinking of the animal. And it's just been making me angry lately, because a lot of people have been thinking about doing it or been asking to do it, or have videos on it, and it's annoying. Just, you know, a goldfish tank is supposed to be a goldfish tank. Like, yeah, it kind of sucks you can only have, like, one in a, you know, or two in a tank, because of their, you know, their waste output, but everybody knows this, or if you don't, you should. You know, research it up before you want to get a goldfish. And trust me, you can look on YouTube and find 40-gallon tanks, 75-gallon tanks that are beautiful tanks, and they only have like 3 fish in them. 2 fish. 2 for 40-gallon, 3 for the 75. They're beautiful tanks, and the fish are gorgeous. These fish I'm talking about are full-blown, 6-inch, huge tails goldfish. You don't want to add little fish to that. You want to just showcase the goldfish. Because you don't have to have a bare bottom with the goldfish. You can still, you know, do whatever you want to do. Do it up. You know, put some wood in there if you want. You can still make the tank pretty. You don't have to add tropicals. And I'm not against tropicals. I like tropical tanks. I would never do it myself. But I do like tropical tanks. I don't know many tropical species. Like, I'm not somebody who's like, oh, this fish, this fish, this fish. You know what I mean? But, yeah, so don't do it. If you have done it, and you want to post some bull on my comments, go ahead, whatever. I'm not going to start a fight with people who've done it and, you know, who are going to say, oh, I've done it successfully. Have you? These people who think they've done it successfully, have you tested your water? Do you know what your nitrates are at? Because your nitrates are going to be really high with goldfish and tropicals. That's why goldfish need 20 gallons. It's not because of their size, it's the waste. The waste needs that much water to dilute their waste. I need 20 gallons per fish to dilute their waste. Or you're doing water changes every, like, 2 days. And, I mean, big water changes. Like, 80% water changes. And people don't believe it until they've had a goldfish and they're reading, you know, they're testing their water and they're like, why are my nitrates at, like, 80? Which is way too high. It's dangerously high. Or even 40. It's easy to get nitrates up to 40 with goldfish. Believe it or not. And plants aren't really going to do much. Like, I'd like to look at plants, that's why I have them. I think they're going to help a bit. But I've also heard that submersed plants use ammonia to grow more than nitrates. if you really want to take out nitrates from your tank, what you do is you put plants that are not submersible plants in the filter. Like pothos, people stick the roots of a pothos plant into your filter, like on top here, and then they have the plant growing up here, or bamboo. That's Pat's mother's cat. I don't know why we have a picture of him on our wall, but we do. So yeah, you put the plant in here and it grows out. And then the roots are taking all the nitrates out from the filter and they're using that as food. That will work way better than having plants underwater, unfortunately. So a lot of people do that. And you can do that. The more filtration, the better with goldfish. Especially with big tanks. Big tanks, a lot of people have like canister filters, plus hang-on-back filters. They've got both. Like if I ever get the 40-gallon for these guys when they get bigger, I want another. It's actually 46 gallons because it's a bow front. I'm gonna get another AquaClear 70 and have 2 70s running at full capacity. Like I'm not gonna lower the flow, so we'll be doing 600 gallons per hour, where all I need for 46 would be 460. So I think that will be good. But yeah, so I don't know, this video was already probably too long and no one's going to watch it, and then I'm going to hear the reasons. But anyways, those are the reasons not to mix. Stop. Just don't do it. Make 2 tanks. There's your excuse to have another tank. You know you want another tank. Why have 1? You have 2 tanks. Twice the fun. More is better. You can have a tropical tank and then you can have your goldfish tank. And your tropical tank can be smaller. So you don't have to worry about having this huge tank. Like, yeah, you already have a huge tank for your goldfish. Well, you can have a smaller tank for a tropical tank. You can do a tropical tank with a 10, really. Might limit your fish, but you can do it. Or, you know, like this 20-gallon tank. Like, let's say you started off like me, have a 20-gallon tank with 2 goldfish, upgrade them, and you can do your tropical tank in that 20-gallon that you had. There's your solutions. So yeah, so I'm moving around on this chair and it's squeaky. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Any questions, go ahead and ask. Post your comments. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.